I apologize. Thank you, Mr. Nadler, Chairman. That video is very difficult to watch because I'm also a mother, and I lost my father to gun violence. And today, this morning, I answered the phone right when the hearing started, and the school was conducting an active shooter drill. And my daughter, who just turned 11 years old, tells me that if she gets locked out of her classroom, if she's going to, if she can't get into the classroom, she would try to talk to the shooter and tell him or her to remember his little brother or sister to not shoot. This is what our children now have to live with. I wasn't planning on starting my testimony with that story, but I want to share a quote that I received from one of my constituents. He's an ER doctor. He works in the Homestead Baptist Health System, Dr. Woltansky. He told me that, quote, assault weapons do a tremendous amount of damage to the human body. The tissue damage and destruction is exponentially worse than a conventional handgun. From the carnage that he's personally witnessed, he says that assault weapons, quote, are not defensive weapons. They are offensive weapons designed to inflict death, tissue damage, and devastation on the human body. And that's what they do very effectively, end quote. That is clearly what military-style weapons are designed for. We've seen these weapons of war being used in places like Iraq, in Afghanistan, and they are now being used in our very own communities, taking the lives of our children, our parents, our brothers, our sisters. It has to stop. And there's something that we can do here in Congress today. And Ms. Mueller, you said earlier, which really struck me, you said, you were describing a gun, and you said, I love this little gun. It's time to love our children more. We have to take action. That is why we're having this hearing today, because there is a way to protect our children and our communities, and it's by passing stricter gun laws. I'm not done here.
With me?
No. Please. In Florida, the pain of losing our loved ones strikes home, very close to home, close to my district. We've had 2 recent mass shootings that resulted in 65 deaths, 65 people that lost their lives. In Parkland, last Valentine's Day, on February 14th, a shooter using an AR-15 style rifle opened fire on high school students that day. And in 6 minutes, the shooter with his assault weapon killed 17 people, 17 kids, including a coach, injured 17 others. In 2016, at Pulse nightclub in Orlando, a shooter using another military-style rifle fired into a crowd. With the assault weapon, he killed 49 people and injured 53 others in a matter of minutes. And in the Pulse nightclub that night was Jerry Wright, the son of my very good friends, Fred and MJ Wright. He was a wonderful, loving, caring son. He was there to have a good time, to enjoy Latin music that night. And his life was cruelly taken. He was only 31 years old. And I know that MJ and Fred live with that pain every single day. Jerry didn't deserve this. His parents didn't deserve this. But because the shooter was able to obtain that military-style rifle, he delivered a devastating fate to the Wright family that day. These are weapons of war. Period. Full stop. They don't belong in our communities. Now, I want to ask Dr. Rios Tovar. I've spoken to doctors in my district who have described these terrible injuries. Can you just elaborate what a gunshot wound from an assault rifle looks like compared to that of a handgun?
Like I said earlier, these types of injuries, you can't necessarily see on the outside. That one victim that perished had a single gunshot to the back and out the clavicular area. It looks like a simple through and through, not so much going on. But once that autopsy was done, we saw that a hole the size of my fist was through her lung, the apex of the lung. And there was nothing I could do from that point.